want to start with the Real Progressive plugs. Make sure that you are visiting realprogressives.org to find all of our fantastic content. Our Patreon is there if you'd like to contribute to our organization. All sorts of podcasts and articles and great stuff. realprogressives.org. So I want to start today with a rather comedic clip, actually. This is Jon Stewart, who is one of my all-time favorites. I miss The Daily Show very much, or I should say his version of The Daily Show very much. He went on CNN and essentially told Jake Tapper to his face that the question he had just asked is part of the problem when it comes to how the media covers Congress in D.C. It was really rather hilarious. I don't even think that Tapper seemed to notice how much Stewart was essentially calling him out right to his face. Jon Stewart here criticizing the media for finding the divisive and, finding the conflict that they can sell their brand on, as opposed to covering the details in a way that would be, responsible. So this is Jon Stewart on CNN telling Jake Tapper to his face what a significant part of the problem he is.
It's pretty cynical strategy.
There's a big debate going on right now in the Democratic Party about how to appeal to voters in 2022. There are a lot of social issues getting a lot of attention. Governor Gavin Newsom in California just signed a law requiring gender-neutral toy sections in stores. There's obviously a lot of debate across the country, not all of it well-informed, about critical race theory and how race is taught in schools. Do you have concerns about how these debates are taking place? Obviously, I'm not talking about how they're depicted in right-wing media, because it doesn't matter what the Democrats do or liberals do for right-wing media to lie about it. But there are a number of independent voters who might not understand what's going on.
Yeah. There are a lot of things a lot of people don't understand, and something's either right and common sense. I do think there are ways to accomplish some of these goals in ways but you can't govern to the lowest common denominator. You can't. I think one of the difficulties, and again, it's with the way that the lens through which we view everything is based on, and what will that mean for the midterms? Or what I saw a great headline in Politico as Afghanistan was descending into chaos in that final week. And the headline in Politico, this was the top line headline, the one with the 40, point font, whatever it was. It said, "Why Afghanistan may not matter in the midterms." And then the subhead was, "And why it might."
Wow.
I think
they have a point. They have a point.
But that's our journalism, right, man? Isn't that how many times have you seen stories about the battle over masks? That's the Karen yelling in the store and the people throwing them out and all that. And how many stories have we seen about the efficacy of masks or the why or the actual, there are some, but the overwhelming majority of stories seek to expose the conflict lines.
Absolutely spot on there from Jon Stewart. He tells Jake Tapper to his face, the question you just asked me is clearly designed to bring in clicks and viewership and expose the conflict lines rather than, educate or bring knowledge or information or a particularly compelling perspective to the viewership, right? And I think the last example he gives there is a really perfect one. We've all seen the clips, and I'm not even saying they aren't newsworthy, you guys, but we've all seen the clips of people screaming at each other over masks or vaccines or what have you. And again, it's not that that's not newsworthy or worth sharing. It's that when the media only approaches it from that angle, instead of saying, let's talk to some microbiologists about why masks are effective or why the vaccine is effective. When the media, weaponizes that conflict line for its own benefit, you end up with a less informed, more ignorant public. And I think Jon Stewart is absolutely spot on in his criticism. And you notice how Jake doesn't even seem to recognize what Jon is saying, because I put the whole question in there for a reason. You guys got to hear the way that Jake Tapper framed that question. And how did he frame it? It wasn't what parts of this bill might help people. You know, what are your thoughts on the policy here? With nothing to do with that whatsoever. What's your thought on the state of the country or the political environment, whatever? No, it was how might this affect the Democrats in the midterms? That's how they frame everything. And Stewart tells him to his face that that's part of the problem, that we view everything through this hyper-partisan lens. And Jake just kind of laughs along with him as though he doesn't understand that he's being quite heavily criticized. I miss Jon Stewart quite a bit, you guys. The Daily Show was absolutely fantastic. Those were back in the days when even Stephen Colbert was pretty decent back on Comedy Central. I don't know what the hell happened to him. But we used to have this kind of satirical, political, almost halfway news. You know what I mean? Like, I honestly think Jon Stewart was a better source of news than most cable news outlets at any given time. I don't even really think that's up for debate. Like, so we used to have that, and it, you know, I don't really know who that would be today. No offense to Trevor Noah, but he's definitely not Jon Stewart, right? And, you know, I think that presence is sorely missed because of exactly what you just saw. He's just willing to call it like it is, right to people's faces. And Jon Stewart always, also every single year, or maybe not every year, but whenever it comes to a vote to like put off providing medical care for 9/11 first responders, Jon Stewart is the one that goes public and shames Congress into providing that medical care to first responders from 9/11, which they obviously are entitled to. So, you know, Stewart just is a fantastic actor in the political process and seems to understand the leverage and the power that he has and uses it well. And I wish he was more in the public spotlight than he is because of, you know, stuff like what you just saw. So good on Jon Stewart, and shame on Jake Tapper and the whole media for covering this in the way that they covered it. And we're going to dive